Championship, third place finisher. And on the right of your screen, of course, Sebastian Enriquez. We just talked about he won the Oceania International Championships this year. He won a regional this year. He has plenty of great finishes. Let's take a look at Naohito playing that Buzzwole Lycanroc deck.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty straightforward mirror match here, but you see that record of 8-0-1. Like you said, the first seed coming into this top 8, looking to continue his dominance on this tournament all weekend. And one of the cards he actually pointed out is that new Regirock from Celestial Storm, making a big impact in this Buzzwole Lycanroc deck.
Yeah, definitely. It will be interesting to see if Naohito can keep it up 8-0-1. Will he become the world champion undefeated, or will his opponent, Sebastian, on the right of your screen there, be able to dethrone him? Let's take a look at what Sebastian has done in his short Pokemon career.
Yeah, like we said before, 2018 Oceania International Champion, first place at St. Louis Regionals, and then a top 16 at the European Internationals, and then a top 8 at the Hartford Regionals as well.
Again, Sebastian is playing that same deck. He is also undefeated, not quite as many points with 7-0-2, but still has not taken any losses. One of these players will be taking their first loss in the finals of the biggest tournament of the year.
Yeah, and a little more info. Naohito actually finds the time to balance a pretty active life of gymnastics along with Pokemon. Hasn't really gotten to play much Pokemon this year, but has found himself at the biggest stage of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. The superstar from Japan hoping to take a world championship victory back home. We know the players have their headsets on. You can see them shuffling. They're getting ready. They're playing the Buzzwole Lycanroc GX Mirror. What does that look like, Jeremy? How do you think this is going to turn out? Is there anything in their list that is going to give one player an edge over the other?
So honestly, I think this is pretty much as close to a 50-50 matchup as you can get. No real big differences, although we do see Naohito playing the Fighting Fury Belt just to give himself a little extra HP. And that's probably what it's going to come down to if it makes a big impact.
The Fighting Fury Belt, not a card that you see in every single list, but Naohito has chosen to play it here, and it may end up giving him an advantage in this final championship. What about Sebastian's deck? Is there anything interesting, anything kind of different off the wall about it?
It is actually a pretty straightforward Buzzwole Lycanroc deck, playing the 3 Buzzwole and 2 Buzzwole GX, as well to go with the 2-2 Lycanroc. He does only play 2 B-strings though, so it could be something to watch out for if he's forced to discard those early with Professor Sycamore or Ultra Ball.
It'll be very interesting to see which player can take it home here. Players are getting set up. Let's go ahead and take a look at the prize cards of Naohito.
All right, doesn't look too bad there. The strong energy might be a little bit of a liability, especially being in the top part of his prizes.
And for Sebastian here, we see Remoraid, Floatstone, Energy, Max Elixir, and a Rockruff.
Well, luckily for Sebastian, he does play a 2-2 each of that Lycanroc and Octillery, so those being in the prizes won't affect his play too much.
All right, so good prizes from both players, neither of them being particularly unlucky, and it looks like we are just moments away from beginning here and crowning a world champion. The actives are flipped, the handshake is good, and now Naohito is kicking things off. We are going to crown a world champion.
Yeah, let's get hyped. This matchup is gonna be fast. Both players just capitalizing on very aggressive damage output from both of their Pokemon.
The Buzzwole Lycanroc deck, very, very aggressive, very straightforward. I know the choice for a lot of the players in the Masters division as well. We see, hey, Buzzwole GX, Energy, and Pass from Naohito.
Yeah, so this matchup is kind of a little bit weird because Buzzwole Lycanroc as a deck doesn't really need to do much setting up early game. As long as you keep drawing your energy, keep drawing some Pokemon to attack with, you're pretty fine with your setup the way it is.
We do see Naohito just attach and pass the turn. We're going to see a couple more plays from Sebastian, though. And Ultra Ball looks like it's going to find his own copy of that Baby Buzzwole non-GX that you see on your screen there. Tell us about this card's role in the matchup.
Well, ever since this card came out, it was kind of innocuous. They didn't really know, like, I don't know if this is going to be good. And then all of a sudden, just burst out on the scene. I think Chris Leandro was very popularized with the deck. And Now we see 3 of them. It almost overtook Buzzwole GX completely. And it's just, Sledgehammer is an amazing attack, being able to deal 90 extra damage if your opponent's at 4 prizes. And it just combos so well with Beast Ring, and the Max Elixirs help speed up the deck so much. We really can see just insane amount of damage output from Buzzwole.
You see a really important card in the Buzzwole Lycanroc deck, that Brooklet Hill, just letting you search your deck for any basic fighting or water type. So it can find your Buzzwole, it can even find your Buzzwole GX as well as your Remoraid, of course. So really important for getting things set up and boosting that consistency as we see Sebastian use its effect now.
Yeah, one thing of note is that since both players are playing the same deck, Brooklet Hill helps Naohito just as much as it does Sebastian here. Especially with the kind of start Naohito put forward with just Attraction and Pass.
That Brooklet Hill does find Diancie Prism Star, one of the additions to this deck that just helps it go over the top with that damage output.
Yeah, now with the strong energy in combo with that Diancie Prism, that Buzzwole is doing 70 damage turn 1 with Sledgehammer.
Here's another card in the deck, Max Elixir, very important for accelerating your energy. Look at the top 6, take a basic, but he's actually going to miss. Max Elixir is, of course, not a guarantee.
Yeah, Max Elixir is one of those important cards to hit on your first turn because that allows you to set up a Lycanroc for later on in the game. Otherwise, you really just play this one attachment per turn here. And
looks like he has another shot at it, though. Once again, top 6, looking for a basic fighting energy to attach to that rock.
And he finally hits it. That is very important here because Dangerous Rogue is such a powerful GX attack, and it really would limit Naohito on the bench he's able to play.
All right, so 2 energy attached. The Brooklet Hill has been activated. Diancie is in play, and it looks like we are going to go to attacks here. Sledgehammer.
Yeah, looking
all weekend.
Looking from the first turn, Sebastian's definitely pulling ahead here. But Naohito still just needs to play that game, the waiting game.
Naohito now plays a Diancie Prism Star of his own, strong energy. Brooklet Hill, like you said, kind of a double-edged sword as it's going to help out both players, potentially get Naohito out of a rough situation. He's going to find a Remoraid, hoping to evolve into an Octillery as early as next turn.
Yeah, Octillery definitely super important, especially when both decks are so aggressive and is going to become a factor late game. And Octillery is your one way to combat that.
So as Cynthia here from Naohito, he's going to shuffle his hand into his deck and draw 6 fresh cards. What is he kind of hoping to find here off of the Cynthia?
Honestly, he pretty much has almost everything he needs. A Rock Ruff would be pretty great, but he also needs to keep in mind his bench space because a single Lycanroc and an Energy could take out that Buzzwole GX on the bench.
So we see both players choosing to kind of open with and start attacking with that baby Buzzwole. Is that how you see this matchup playing out? Is that the main attacker that both of these players are going to be focusing on?
Yeah, so in certain matchups, you switch up your strategy depending on what they're playing. Like against Zoroark decks, it's actually beneficial to start with the Buzzwole GX early, have them knock it out, and then just go aggro Sledgehammer. But in this mirror match, you're really going to try to make your opponent take 3 knockouts to take 3 prizes, and then you kind of just go off from there.
It looks like that Cynthia did not grant him anything he can use immediately, so he is just going to respond with a Sledgehammer of his own. 70 damage on turn 1 for both players.
Yeah, the biggest thing for these players are if they can play around that Sledgehammer turn. When you force your opponent to go to 4 prizes, it feels amazing when you're playing Buzzwole.
Tapu Lele, Wonder Tag, ability getting activated. Going to go ahead and search through Sebastian's deck for any supporter that he'd like. Looks like he's going to take a Cynthia. Tapu Lele just helping the consistency of the deck, drawing more cards and finding what you need at the right time.
Yeah, it is unfortunate for Sebastian here that he was forced to play that Tapu Lele down because it does become a liability, especially when you're trying to force that 4-prize game.
So we mentioned that Naohito wanted to find that Rock Ruff earlier, but he chose not to get it with Brooklet Hill, and he just didn't draw it off the Cynthia. Is that going to be important? Like, is this backbreaking for him? Is this something he doesn't really mind? It can come out a little bit later and be okay?
He definitely has time. So while I say this matchup is pretty fast, it's just pretty fast in what they're going to do. It's actually kind of a grindy game because you'll take these knockouts on these regular Buzzwoles, And then, all right, well, I guess I'll just take a knockout on another regular Buzzwole, just keep going. It's not until late game where we're going to see the fireworks of those big GX knockouts.
All right, and 6 fresh cards for Sebastian here. I see a Buzzwole GX. He definitely has some options.
Yeah, Beast Energy in his hand as well. That is one card that is very good at swinging this matchup depending on how you use it. Remember, you only get that one copy since it's the Prism Star card.
Each player only going to have 1 usage of Beast Energy. It looks like Brooklyn Hill is going to find a Remoraid of Sebastian's own, just saying, all right, I'm going to put this Remoraid on my bench. It will become an Artillery before too long, and that'll help smooth out my draws in the late game and hopefully lead me to a World Championship.
Yeah, and it will take a knockout here with that Buzzwole in the active spot, taking the first prize and putting himself in a good position, but Naohito could come up and maybe with a strong energy even start jet punching here.
Attachment for the turn is going to be placed on that benched Buzzwole. Maybe? Looks like he's changing his mind. Going to touch a Beast Energy, actually.
Yeah, this is one thing where if you know your opponent's deck, it's definitely helpful. We saw, I think, Ahmed in the Masters Division previously this weekend play Enhanced Hammer in his Buzzwole Lycanroc. No sort of tricks here. So that Beast Energy is pretty safe on that Buzzwole on the bench.
All right, Sebastian Enriquez 1 prize closer to becoming world champion. Buzzwole GX becomes the active Pokemon for Naohito. We mentioned earlier that you wanted to start with these, non-GX Buzzwoles. Is there any? Does the Buzzwole GX kind of go over the top here? Is it an advantage to have it in this spot, or does Naohito still want to focus on that non-GX Buzzwole?
It's definitely going to be a liability right now, but it does have the possibility of bypassing that Sledgehammer turn, because he could Jet Punch here, soften up this Buzzwole, and then try to cobble together a kind of 2-hit KO in one turn.
Brooklyn Hill does find that Rock Ruff like we talked about a little bit earlier. Now Naohito fully set up, threatening Bloodthirsty Eyes and perhaps Dangerous Rogue GX as early as the next turn.
Yeah, and this is one thing that is beneficial for Naohito right now is his bench is only 3. Lycanroc, Bloodthirsty Eyes is not that threatening, at least right now.
I see a Field Blower getting rid of that Brooklyn Hill. Naohito has said, all right, I'm activating Brooklyn Hill. I'm going to get it, but I don't want you to have it anymore. And let's get rid of that Float Stone as well. Super Rod putting that non-GX Buzzwole back into Naohito's deck.
Yeah, this is the one thing, though. With that Buzzwole GX active, if Sebastian does... Oh, new sleeves, folks.
All right, we're cleaning up a spill on the play area. Players perhaps getting a little bit too excited. Shouldn't be a problem, though. It's not like they have the same color sleeves or anything. Nothing will mix up. Everything should be okay.
All right, there we go. Remember, they have tiny hands.
Unlike Buzzwole GX.
He has big hands.
Sure does. And there's a Sycamore. 7 fresh cards for Naohito.
Oh, discarding that B-string, though. It could be trouble later on in the game if he's not able to find the rest of his once Sebastian takes his next couple of prizes.
I think both of these players are on 2 B-string, or is that just Sebastian?
It does look like both players are on 2 B-strings. Really just kind of like, if I get 1, that's good. So all I really need is 1 when the time comes.
Right, and Ultra Ball does find Octillery, the card we've been talking about for this entire match, really helping both players able to smooth out their draws in the late game, make sure they don't get hurt too badly by ends or anything like that. That is going to hit the field, and here's a Max Elixir of Naohito's own. Saw Sebastian miss on 1 Max Elixir the previous turn. Let's see if same
it
fate.
looks,
Yep.
No. Max Elixir not proving very fruitful here, not being able to attach extra energy to that Rock Ruff on the bench.
A pretty standard split of 9 basic energy for each player. So unfortunate to miss the Max Elixirs there, but the attachment has gone down. He has the Buzzwole GX in the active position, and of course he gets to draw a few more cards here with Octillery's Abyssal Hand.
Yeah, he's actually had an unfortunate turn for himself energy-wise, discarding an energy off the Sycamore, having to Ultra Ball away another energy, and having another one in his hand. It kind of makes sense why he did not get the energy off the Max Elixir, at least.
We have seen that new Regirock that we were just talking about hit the field. Is that looks like Sebastian going to ask for a translation on that just to make sure he knows exactly what it does. But is that going to affect the matchup very much?
So it essentially does 10 extra damage if it has a choice band attached to it than a regular Buzzwole. So it could come in handy, especially against GXs. It really pushes forward that extra amount, but it's kind of dwarfed in comparison to Buzzwole, especially when your opponent starts taking more prizes.
We're still going to focus on the Buzzwole plan, but we have that Regirock as a backup. We see not quite a knockout here. That big Jet Punch just putting that Buzzwole up to 120 damage, then softening up the Remoraid on the bench.
Yeah, I do not see the Brooklet Hill in play, though. Neither player plays, or did he Field Blower?
Yeah, he Field Blowered on his turn.
That makes more sense.
He got an activation of it and then said, all right, I don't want you to have access to this anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it.
All right, and Choice Band coming down, Sledgehammer for 100 damage. That's exactly what you want to see from your regular non-GX Pokemon. But unfortunately did not get that Octillery in play.
No, he didn't really do much of anything with his turn, and he's going to get Bloodthirsty Eyes here. That Diancie is not long for this World Sycamore. 7 fresh cards, and Naohito has taken over control of this game.
Yeah, I actually like this play a lot. He's really going to try to set up avoiding that 4 prizes from Sebastian.
And here's one of the cards that is actually not included in Sebastian's deck, but is in Naohito's deck, that Fighting Fury Belt. We talked a little bit earlier, but just go over that again. How is that going to affect the matchup?
So the interesting part is Fighting Fury Belt's mostly played for the HP. Here, it's pretty good because it adds 10 damage no matter what active Pokemon you're against, instead of Choice Band, where it adds 30 damage to only GX and EX Pokemon. So here we actually see, even though there's no strong energy, just with the Diancie Prism, it's able to do 60 damage, which is a 2-hit knockout against Sebastian's Diancie. And then with Jet Punch damage, he actually takes the knockout on the Remoraid. And then next turn could take 3 prizes on the Diancie and the Buzzwole.
All right, we see a big Guzma here, moving that Diancie out of the active position and actually bringing up Naohito's Lycanroc GX.
Yeah, so here he needs both heads to take a knockout, I believe. And no, first one Tails, 2 Tails here.
Second one Tails, not
160 damage. Swing around, not able to do enough here.
That's the risk that you can take when you flip coins. That Lycanroc still on the board. No prizes taken for Sebastian.
Yeah, if Naohito has a Guzma, he can do the exact play he set up last turn and take a knockout on Diancie and the Buzzwole.
Not only will that knock out 2 Pokemon, but it'll also kind of skip what we've been talking about, the Sledgehammer and Beast Ring turns, as Naohito will go down to 3 prizes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he actually has it in his hand. I don't think he does, but the real question is, can he limit his hand down enough to Abyssal Hand into 1?
Looks like that's what he's trying to do, is he's going to Ultra Ball, getting rid of a Buzzwole and an Octillery. Already has 1 of those each on board. Probably won't need the others throughout this matchup.
Yeah, unfortunately, not able to play down. Oh, wait, no, I was actually going to say Tapu Lele, but there's no Tapu Lele in Naohito's deck. That's pretty huge. Piloting this deck and just like, nah, Octillery is fine. Lele is a liability. I'm just not going to play it.
We talked about how big of a liability in the mirror Tapu Lele can be, so Naohito may be pre-prepared for this
He next leveled
matchup.
all of us.
Here is another Max Elixir, and it looks like this one is actually going to find an attachment. Real quick before he does it, where do you think this energy is going to go?
The Buzzwole on the bench, the regular one. Being able to kind of just set up different attackers. That Buzzwole GX has 100 damage on it. That could get knocked out with this active Buzzwole if it sticks around. If not, it still gets knocked out by a big Sledgehammer if he just takes 1 prize this turn.
Looks like Naohito is going to disagree with you a little bit and go ahead and Max Elixir onto the
Hey,
Regirock. But
he's still attached to the Buzzwole anyway. It's fine.
He kind of just has it all here. Strong on the Buzzwole. Another copy of Fighting.
All right, does he hit the Guzma off that Abyssal Hand? I don't know.
Gotta believe he would have slammed it if he did, although maybe
Oh.
eyeing down the bench.
Eyeing down the bench. That's
body
a good
language.
sign.
No, there's just, yeah. All right, so he's not going to be able to do the fancy play of taking the two-hit knockout, or taking the two knockouts rather, this turn. So what do you think the plan is from here?
He might just Dangerous Rogue here. Essentially sacrifice this Lycan Rock, saying, yeah, it's going to get knocked out, but I'm going to get 3 energy off your board because this Buzzwole is a threat right now. So getting that, and you'll play into the 4 prize turn, but this Lycan Rock's going to most likely get knocked out anyway.
Looks like he is going to go ahead and attach a Float Stone he found off the Cynthia Retreat, bring up that Regirock.
All right, well, here we're going to see an Enhanced Stomp instead. Fighting Fury Belt boosting Enhanced Stomp to 40 damage base. And then with the Belt and the Diancie, that is now 70 damage, which is a 2-hit knockout on this Buzzwole.
And action is back on Sebastian. He still has that Buzzwole with 3 energy in play. A little bit unfortunate draw there by Naohito. And let's see what Sebastian can put together here. Both players tied at 5 prizes here in game 1.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage on the board for both players. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate the rest of this game.
Looks like we're going to see another big coin flip. Tails swing around.
Heads. All right, not enough here to take the knockout. Only 150 damage, 10 short of the knockout on that Regirock.
Once again, needed double heads. Once again, did not get double heads off that swinger.
This is exactly what Naohito wanted here. And this is where those 2 Fighting Fury Belts are putting in work.
All right, Naohito now down to 4 prize cards, advancing his state in the game, but also perhaps turning on some interesting mechanics for Sebastian.
Yeah, but I don't know if he really wants to attack with that Buzzwole on the bench. Really a liability, especially against Jet Punch. Naohito could just take 2 prizes in one turn and bypass a full turn of B-String.
See that Rockruff getting sent to the active position. He already has 1 energy on it from an earlier turn. We know that Sebastian has another energy in his hand. Looks like he's considering an Ultra Ball. Is Lycanroc the likely target here? Is that what's going to come down?
I don't know. Let's see. He does have a B-String in his hand, as well as a Buzzwole GX and energy. His hand's not looking too hot right now, but that B-String could help him out huge.
And he does choose to attach to the newly benched Buzzwole GX. And like you said, he also has that B-String, one of the liabilities of being at 4 prizes for Naohito.
So he could have a big turn here. Ultra Ball getting the Lycanroc, retreating the Rockruff into that Buzzwole GX, and then Bloodthirsty Eyes the Lycanroc on the bench and take 3 prizes here, kind of just saying, you're never going to get to use B-String.
So that may be the plan. There is the B-String, really powerful item card for these Buzzwole decks, for these Ultra Beast decks.
Yeah, just being able to attach 2 basic energies to one of your Ultra Beasts on the field, it's always insane when you get to attach extra energy. We see how popular Max Elixir is, but this card's just in a whole nother level.
Yeah, definitely. It's not very often we see the ability to attach 3 energy in a turn, even more if you have multiple copies of B-String. But there it is. That Buzzwole GX hit the board this turn, and now it is fully loaded up with 3 energy thanks to that B-String.
All right, and there we see the retreat. Unfortunate that he has to manually retreat that Rockruff. Dangerous Rogue is an attack that you really want to just have in your back pocket.
It looks like he doesn't have enough cards in his hand to actually Ultra Ball. But he will take the knockout on the active Regirock and put both players at 4 prize cards remaining. So now again, B-String turned on for Naohito. We saw him get rid of one of his copies early, but Sledgehammer also doing more damage now.
Yeah, unfortunately, this Buzzwole GX might not stick around too long. A lot of heavy hitters on Naohito's side of the field. Choice Band coming down on that Buzzwole as well, meaning it's doing 190 damage. Guess how much HP Buzzwole GX has?
It's like a interesting Choice Band Fighting Fury Belt split there, kind of saying, all right, I'm just going to play both, and hopefully they'll come at the right times in the right situations.
They have come at the perfect times for him this game.
6 cards for Naohito here. Are we going to see a Dangerous Rogue finish off this Buzzwole?
No, the Buzzwole on the bench actually does 190 damage with Sledgehammer.
Looks like there is that Brooklet Hill coming down. And we saw Naohito get rid of Sebastian's earlier in the game. Now he's saying, all right, maybe I'll get something. But it looks like he's just going to go ahead and decide against it. And here is that B-String. It's a B-String playing a huge role in these decks. And for both of these players, only getting 1 energy, was it?
Yeah, 1 energy for Naohito. Sebastian did get 2, but that's Naohito's last B-String. We're not going to see another one for the entire game.
There's an Abyssal Hand. Artillery really helping the draws of Naohito here, only for a single card.
And this is the big turn that these players have been waiting for. Sledgehammer, 190 damage, going down to 2 prizes, leaving Sebastian with a very heavily damaged board.
2 prizes remaining. 1 GX knockout will be the game. We have that Dangerous Rogue GX attack still active. No energy on the Rock Ruff for Sebastian, so we won't see a Dangerous Rogue out of him. We have some Max Elixir shenanigans. That was just a great turn for Naohito.
Yeah, he got exactly what he needed. But now Sebastian is trying to cobble together, saying, is there still a way I can win? And there's a lot of damage on Naohito's side of the board as well. Playing those 2 Buzzwole GX is pretty sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. We see, considering what to take with this Brooklet Hill, looks like he finally decides on a Buzzwole GX. Filling his bench, putting another big GX threat on the board, hopefully trying to claw back into this game. He'll need to take 4 prizes before Naohito can take just 2. Does have Max Elixirs in hand. We're going to see the first one fired off here. Let's see if he can start accelerating his energy.
Yeah, also looking for a Lycanroc here so he just does not lose to the Buzzwole coming out from the bench.
We did see a Lycanroc in those top 6, but we did not see any basic fighting. So that first Max Elixir is going to miss.
And, that's not what you want to see here. Does he have an energy in his hand? It does not look like it. And this is where we see the Remoraid getting knocked out earlier, really affecting Sebastian's draws here, having an Ultra Ball and a Brooklet Hill in hand and not really much else to play with.
And not really much else he can do. Both Max Elixirs miss. He has no way to draw more cards. He has no way to fix his hand at all. He just goes ahead and attacks. 70 damage.
Wow.
Not at all what he
A
was looking.
single Guzma here from Naohito will win the game and put him 1 game away from becoming world champion. Does he have it in his hand?
See if we can put it together here. It does not appear
Oh, no.
that he does right now.
So Sebastian stays alive for another turn here.
Looks like Brooklet Hill or Naohito just going to go ahead and look through the cards remaining in his deck. Not very many.
Did you even see Guzma in there?
No, I don't think so. I didn't quite get to look at all of the cards, but there's like 8 or 9 left. Let's see what he can do with this turn. Still in a very commanding position, even if he can't finish out the game. There's a Buzzwole GX. There's an energy attachment.
And there's an N. I actually like putting down the second Buzzwole there, and it really just threatens another Jet Punch, because then you don't even need a Guzma. You can just, I'll put 30 damage on the Diancie, and then next turn, it's going to get 30 damage again anyway.
And coming down, Naohito will only be drawing 2 cards, but of course he can Abyssal Hand up all the way back up to 5. And kind of unfortunate that it does reset Sebastian's hand there. We knew that he didn't really have much going on, but still 4 cards is not all that many. And Naohito just realizes that he needs to press his advantage as much as he can, so he's going to get 5 cards after the Abyssal Hand.
All right, and there is an Ultra Ball as well. Failing the search, just getting rid of those cards in his hand that he doesn't really want. Professor Sycamore is kind of a liability when your deck is 7 cards or less.
He's not going to be playing any of those cards for the rest of the game, so he might as well get them out. They're not even options. Don't want to get into some risky end situations. We're going to see a retreat into that Buzzwole GX.
Yeah, I like this. Saving the big heavy hitter on the bench. Jet punching with just that basic energy. And the writing is on the wall for Sebastian here. Can he pull something together?
Only 1 prize remaining for Naohito, very close to becoming 1 game up in this World Championship Finals. We see a Buzzwole GX facing off against one of his own, another energy. There's the Lycanroc that Sebastian has been looking for all game.
Yeah, so he'll have to Bloodthirsty Eyes something and hope it's stuck active. And then next turn, cobble together a Guzma and another Jet Punch to try to steal this one out from Naohito.
That's exactly what he does. Bloodthirsty Eyes brings up the artillery, hoping to leave that in the active position before Sycamore draws 7 new cards. There is an Artillery of Sebastian's own, but of course that Remoraid was knocked out earlier in the game. That will not be having much of an impact on this game if I had to guess.
All right, there is that Jet Punch dealing, should be 70 damage thanks to the Strong Energy and the Diancie.
Oh, wait.
But there is the Guzma. It does not matter. And a single Jet Punch will take the game for Naohito here. Like I said, 1 game closer from becoming world champion.
Yeah, we did see Sebastian kind of make things a little bit close there with that big knockout on the very last turn, but that Guzma spelled defeat for him as Naohito advances to 1-0. That was just a dominating performance by Naohito.
Yeah, he was able to get that big sledgehammer turn to take a knockout on a fully powered Buzzwole GX. And it was kind of just all downhill from Sebastian for there.
And it seems like taking an immediate advantage and then getting rid of that Remoraid so that Sebastian didn't have any access to Artillery. It showed the difference in what you can do when you have access to an Artillery and your opponent doesn't. We saw multiple turns of Sebastian just having kind of an anemic hand, not really doing much. Playing a Max Elixir and missing, not being able to put things together. So we'll have to see. Sebastian will be going first in Game 2. We'll have to see what he can put together, if he can tie things up here at the World Championship.
Yeah, we saw Naohito playing that game pretty conservatively, just really setting up those knockouts for later on in the game and really picking and choosing which big knockouts he wants to take.
It's very clear that both of these players, they're in the finals of the World Championship. They've made it this far. They're very experienced with their decks. They're very experienced in the matchup. We saw that out of Naohito in particular. He was kind of setting up these knockouts, like you were saying, trying to play around those Sledgehammer and D-String turns. Wasn't actually able to do that, but he's showing a lot of awareness about the matchup and the format.
Yeah, this is definitely not their first Buzzwole Lycanroc mirror match that they've seen this tournament. A very popular deck this weekend.
Absolutely. One of the big decks going into the tournament in the Masters division. Is not actually involved in our finals, unlike the junior division here for the Masters, but is one of the big decks in the format and will continue to be. Players have presented their decks. What needs to go differently for Sebastian here if he wants to tie things up?
Getting that Artillery and making sure it is safe. We saw just how powerful Naohito was able to go through his deck, essentially just drawing the right cards at the right time, like that Fighting Fury Belt, that Choice Band. And we saw just Sebastian kind of stumble late game, not really having much in his hand.
All right, taking a look at Naohito's prizes, 2 Energy, Supporter, a Buzzwole. On the other side, now we have that single copy of Tapu Lele.
But 2 Max Elixirs as well, and 2 Guzma.
2 Guzma as well. All right, these players are off potentially just 1 more game before we crown a world champion in the junior division. Sebastian going first, Remoraid in the active, Baby Buzz on the bench, and it's like a Sycamore.
Yeah, a big Sycamore here, and flipping over a card. Was that off the top or?
I didn't quite see, but Brooklet Hill is also in play, and then a Sycamore for 7 cards.
Right, it'll be interesting to see what he actually had to toss off that Professor Sycamore. Oh, he does find one of his 2 Max Elixirs in his deck here. Could be a very important turn for it.
Second non-GX Buzzwole on the board. Turn 1, Brooklet Hill activation. Looks like that's going to find a Rockruff.
Yeah, again, one of the best early game targets for that Max Elixir to put the energy on. Really, it's your only 2 energy attacker early game. So when you want to threaten it, that's putting so much pressure on your opponent.
And we've already seen the 1 energy attacker in Buzzwole be attached to. So now we're just saying, all right, I'm going to have 1 energy on this Rockruff, hopefully after this Max Elixir. And then you never know when a dangerous rogue is coming. All I need is energy, like in Rock. But no! Max Elixir is going to miss. We have not seen Sebastian's Max Elixirs be very kind to him in this tournament.
Yeah, that is a rough look for him there. Max Elixir is one of those cards that is very high reward, but also very risky to play in your deck.
We've already seen the supporter play the energy attach. We're going to pass the turn back to Naohito.
And capitalizing on his opponent's Brooklet Hill yet again, eyeing down possibly that Buzzwole GX. We know he has that strong energy in hand. could he have a Diancie as well to take a knockout on that Rockruff?
The first action of Naohito here is going to be Buzzwole GX, a big GX Pokemon off of the Brooklet Hill. Let's see what he can
See
put
a
together
strong
on this
energy
turn.
Guzma in hand. So he does have the Diancie. With the Guzma, he'll be able to take a knockout on the Rockruff while setting up 30 damage on this Remoraid. What a first turn here for Naohito, showing his dominant position here.
And that just shows the power of Buzzwole GX, all the fighting type support with strong energy. Diancie, that was an amazing turn. Let's see how Sebastian can respond. Beast energy on the non-GX Buzzwole of his own.
Yeah, he is going to have to play from behind right now, really hoping to find the Octillery, because this is the same position he was in game 1. 30 damage on that Remoraid, and off a supporter could not get that evolution, and it ended up just hitting the bin the next turn.
All right, he is going to draw 6 cards off of this end, really looking for that Octillery. Again, that was the whole narrative of game 1, just keeping that Octillery in play would have been huge for him. Let's see if he can right his wrongs of the last game. With 6 cards, only 5 for Naohito, of course, after that turn 1 knockout.
Yeah, you can definitely see the body language in Naohito shift to a more aggressive stance here. He knows what's going on. He knows he got this. This starts great. I'm so close.
There's a Diancie of Sebastian's own.
That was a close call there. Judge coming in at the last minute for the save. Dealed out 6 cards, but he took that turn 1 knockout, so he only gets 5 off that end.
Yeah, really common, I think, to just assume that early game ends are going to draw 6 cards, but no harm, no foul there, as Naohito does have the correct amount of cards in hand. Brooklet Hill looks like it's going to get another copy of Rockruff. Looks like he was debating a little bit between Rockruff and Remoraid.
Yeah, it's definitely an important Pokemon here in the mirror match, but the real question is, does he have that Octillery in his hand? It does not look like it. So yeah, we just see the Sledgehammer. It will be a pretty big Sledgehammer, 100 damage thanks to Beast Energy Strong and that Diancie, but this Remoraid is going to get knocked out this turn.
Yeah, a lot of damage modifiers there as we move in to Naohito's turn. Just seeing a Brooklet Hill activation of his own. He has been in control almost the entire time in game 1. He took an early knockout here in game 2. He seems confident. Can he do it here? He's going to take another knockout this turn.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he actually has the Lycanroc GX here. Could just take another knockout on that Rockruff and the Remoraid and just bypassing 4 prizes completely.
It's like Fighting Fury Belt, going to boost the HP of that Buzzwole GX a little bit. There's an energy.
And he has the Guzma. Energy retreat the Rockruff, and this is one of the most dominant board states I've seen in a Buzzwole Lycanroc mirror match here.
Similar play to last turn. There's a double knockout. Naohito now is at 3 prizes remaining. He is halfway through this game, which if he wins, he'll become world champion. We're going to have no Sledgehammer or Beast Ring turn for, no Sledgehammer turn for Sebastian here.
Yeah, and he will have to commit an energy to the active and swing around if he wants to take a knockout on this Buzzwole. But the bad thing about that is, if Naohito draws a basic fighting energy even, it could just take a knockout with Sledgehammer of his own.
And we are seeing an end here. So again, no Octillery in play for Naohito. He only really has that one attacker on the board. So this end could spell trouble for him as he's only getting 3 cards.
Yeah, it'll be very important to see if he draws an energy to attack with next turn, because then this Buzzwole will just get knocked out right away. We see an Ultra Ball in his hand. That is one way to get an Octillery to draw some more cards. But meanwhile, on Sebastian's side, he did draw one of his 2 Beast Rings and the other Max Elixir, the last one in his deck right now.
Going to have a lot of potential energy acceleration here with those item cards, just thinking about exactly what he wants to do.
But this is the turn where Buzzwole doesn't really... It's not the best late game attacker. You really want that Buzzwole GX here.
Looks like he is going to use Brooklet Hill to find a Buzzwole GX.
Yeah, definitely the card you want to Beast Ring to at this point in the game. you might have to have this Buzzwole GX survive for the rest of the game to take it.
That is what's found off the Booklet Hill. We do know that he has a few more options here. Looks like Max Elixir will be the first play.
Yeah, and
good sequencing there.
I love this sequencing by him. That's where you know these players know what they're doing. Max Elixir getting that basic fighting first
Finally,
card.
Max Elixir hits Sebastian, getting a little bit lucky there. There's the Max Elixir. There is the B string, 2 energy. Going to go onto that Buzzwole GX on the bench.
All right, so this is a pretty productive turn for Sebastian, but he is down 3 prizes here and playing into Naohito's big sledgehammer turn.
And there is the knockout. Sebastian taking 2 prizes, 4-3 now. No energy on the board for Naohito. Let's see what he can put together.
Yeah, he actually drew the perfect card, a card that he can discard without having to worry about it in that Regirock, because he had a B-string in his hand, which is now live. So getting the Octillery, B-string to your guy, make sure you get the energy, and then Abyssal Hand for a full 5 cards.
Well, it never feels good when you end your opponent to 3 and they just have it all. He has the Octillery. He's going to reload for a perfect 5, as you said, after this B-string. Wow, what a very strong turn by Sebastian, but then a huge response.
Yeah, and I actually like the B-string for just the basic fighting here. You don't need more than that. You'd rather save your energy for your Max Elixirs, for your other Pokemon on your bench, like that Rockruff.
There is the B-string. He's also going to use Brooklet Hill just while he's shuffling. Going to get another Rockruff, put that directly onto the bench.
Man, this has been a clinic put on by Naohito here in Game 2. Those first few turns were pretty intense.
All right, and despite the end of 3, we are going to get an Abyssal Hand for 5 here. A full hand of cards for Naohito.
Just a bunch of supporters. That's all you really can ask for here. His board position is so dominant right now.
Choice Band on, the Buzzwole on the bench. We're going to see Sycamore drawing 7 new cards. So this has not been a problem for him at all. Cards are not the issue. There's 7 of them.
All right, there we see a Max Elixir from Naohito here. Is he able to get it? It could go on to that Rockruff, but no!
Looks like he is going to miss. No extra attachment off of the Max Elixir there.
Yeah, that is a little bit of unfortunate in the fortunate game that Naohito's had. He even has his second B-string as well, but I don't know if there's enough basic fighting energy in the deck to actually utilize it. And yeah, there's 1 from the prizes. Man, down to 2 prizes, 2 prize cards away from becoming the Junior Division World Champion here in 2018.
Just needs to knock out a GX Pokemon like that Buzzwole that is becoming active now. There is the 3rd energy for Sebastian. Oh, an Octillery of his own. All right, so both players will have protection from these ends here in the late game.
Yeah, it is awkward right now because you kind of want to play a Guzma to take out that Octillery, but you also need to end your opponent. Can't do both. This deck is very powerful in the sense that it usually does because of Lycanroc's Bloodthirsty Eyes ability, but those Rockruffs were targeted down so early by Naohito that he just does not have any access to them.
And it looks like we are going to see the end here. 4 cards for Sebastian, 2 for Naohito. Octillery is going to change those numbers a bit. So not going to be devastating for either player. What is Sebastian looking for here off of this end? What are the perfect draws for him?
He's looking for Naohito to not draw anything for the rest of the game.
Makes sense. Naohito very, very close to becoming world champion here. Sebastian needs to win this game to stay in the match and give himself a shot at becoming world champion as well.
Yeah, and here I see a Guzma in his hand. I believe that could make 2 Guzma. So he could go for the Knuckle Impact here and not really get punished by having it be stuck active. Although Absorption GX is an attack that gets worse and worse as the game progresses.
So that's what he's considering. The GX marker is getting flipped. No, maybe?
All right, yeah, just chooses Knuckle Impact. Sees his hand, he's like, it doesn't really hurt me anyway. And 3 Guzmas in his hand right now.
All right, 3 prize cards remaining for Sebastian. There's a strong energy on the Buzzwole. Brooklet Hill.
Yeah, I think this Brooklet Hill's been more beneficial for Naohito this entire match, this entire series, than it has for Sebastian, and it's his card.
He's got a huge advantage off of it. Of course, when you're playing the mirror match, both players have access to it. Both players want the card in play. And that we saw that turn 1 Brooklet Hill really helping out both players. But you're absolutely right in that Naohito has been able to make better use of it, as it's going to find a Buzzwole GX of his own this turn.
Yeah, and remember, he still has the Beast Ring left in his deck. It'll be interesting to see if he has the energy to actually utilize it and if he draws into it.
All right, we see an Abyssal hand for 3 cards.
Doesn't look like a pretty good 3 from here. A couple cards that he could actually discard with Ultra Ball.
Yeah, those Brooklet Hills are not going to be coming into play anytime soon, so those are going away with the Ultra Ball. Finding any Pokemon he wants, looks like he's going to find a Lycanroc GX.
Oh man, Lycanroc GX coming out finally. Bloodthirsty Eyes, such a powerful ability. It's an ability that we've seen in the Pokemon TCG time and time again, that it's always been played.
The ability to kind of decide which Pokemon is going to be active for your opponent has been incredibly powerful. Looks like he's not going to play the Lycanroc. He's just going to go ahead and take it, and he's going to Sledgehammer for 100 damage.
Yeah, not too shabby. 100 damage Sledgehammer when your opponent's not at 3 prizes, or not at 4 prizes.
And just 90 HP remaining on this Buzzwole GX. If that Pokemon does get knocked out, that will be the game and the match and the World Championship for Naohito.
And this is the awkward spot right now. Since Sebastian knuckle impacted last turn, if he wants to do the Guzma play that he wanted to reset his attack, that Buzzwole is just on the bench ready to go to take a knockout on that Buzzwole GX.
And that is what he's kind of forced to do here. You see the Guzma bringing out that Buzzwole GX, an attachment onto the non-GX Buzzwole. Floatstone helping Artillery move freely out of that active position.
Yeah, and he is just hoping Naohito does not have access to his own Guzma. He has the Lycanroc to bring up the other Buzzwole GX, but no way to retreat this Buzzwole GX in his own active spot.
And Sebastian just looking through the discard pile of Naohito, saying, all right, how many Guzmas have you used? What's your Floatstone count? Just seeing how many
It is
outs
important
he has
to
left.
note he only plays 3 Guzma.
All right, we do see the baby Buzzwole get promoted into the active position, going to deal some damage to that Buzzwole GX here. Big turn for Naohito. Let's see what he can put together.
Yeah, he also does have, I believe, oh no, Floatstone as an out as well.
Looks like he was considering using Abyssal Hand for fewer cards than if he were to use the Lycanroc ability. Looks like he's debating between that now, but he's going to go ahead and just use it now. Bloodthirsty Eyes bring that Diancie to the active position.
Yeah, so this is kind of a catch-all because Guzma is your one out to win. If you don't get it, you leave a big retreat Pokemon in the active spot.
And it looks like he didn't get it. Cynthia and Max Elixir were the draws there off of the Abyssal Hand. We're going to see one of those cards come into play now. Max Elixir, top 6. Will he find an energy? We've seen both players struggle with this throughout the game. He does find a basic fighting to attach to potentially that Buzzwole. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and put the second energy on that Buzzwole.
All right, kind of his first stumble this game, not really getting that Guzma here. Pretty much gotten everything else.
You see the Cynthia, again, no Guzma was found, so 6 cards for Naohito. He's staying in this game, but is going to need some action to advance his board state here. Abyssal Hand has already been used all to these 6 cards.
All right, this is an important 6 cards. Strong energy in there. He can at least Jet Punch here if he chooses to. Fighting Fury Belt, also a card that could come into play. Boosting that Buzzwole's HP. Remember that Buzzwole on the bench for Sebastian.
All right,
He's
he's
at 80.
going to go ahead and attach a basic fighting to the Lycanroc GX and simply pass the turn. No way to move this Buzzwole out of the active position. And the action is on Sebastian.
And now he's kind of stuck at this point too, where he's forced to use his own Guzma, but that Buzzwole is still the guy he wants in the active spot to deal the most amount of damage.
Sebastian does have some options here. Guzma may be coming down. The only real way I think he can move Diancie. Can't quite see the entire contents of his hand. But simply not going to be an easy task. That Guzma does come down. Now he just says, which one do you want? He says, I'll take Rockruff. Here's my artillery with my float stone. So no risk of getting stuck there. It's one single card off the Abyssal hand.
Yeah, finally finding those max elixirs in his prizes. Does it net an energy for him? No.
It does not. Wow, Sebastian has had unreal bad luck with those max elixirs this game. This round, rather.
All right, it'll be interesting to see what he chooses to do here. He does have the option to take a knockout with that Buzzwole, but it just puts it in harm's way, and that is essentially throwing away the finals.
He's going to retreat. So he's going back into that Buzzwole with no damage on it. We're going to see attack 50 damage on the...
The Floatstone is the next card, the card that he wanted, but there is the Guzma. Dangerous Rogue will take a knockout on that Buzzwole GX.
And that's it.
Naohito is your juniors TCG World Champion 2018.